Okay, let's talk about Build Public University. This is the week 3 Build Public update for Build Public University. The last 2 weeks were focused on the experimentation. And so what I did is I took the idea that I started with Hitchhiker's Guide to the Future and turned that into my first paying customer. Uh, the first customer is actually the head of blockchain research at Wolfram Institute. And one of the things that I've been looking at is how do we fund things from the stage of an idea? And this is obviously the goal of investors and, kind of startup founders and how they go about thinking about the world. And what I've realized is most people don't think about money and funding ideas in the same way as experienced founders and investors because we have no idea what goes into it. And this is something I experienced 6 years ago when I said, I'm going to launch a startup. We're in the middle of a pandemic. I'll quit my corporate job that I've worked at because I see all these idiots raising millions of dollars for just ideas. I could do better than that. Didn't quite go that well. I have been trying for 6 years to actually make something work. But I realized the mistake I had the entire time, which is that I wasn't focusing on money, because that is actually the game that business is. It's the game of money. You want to put in energy and get a return on investment, ROI. So it sounds stupidly simple, and I've got all sorts of reasoning behind why I totally wasn't an idiot and it made sense. But let's just say I was an idiot. Businesses need to make money. Cool. Now that we have that figured out, how do we fund an idea? Well, what I've realized is that everything is changing rapidly, and I have no idea what's actually going to work anymore. Except I kind of do, because I see what's working elsewhere. But you need to have a way to rapidly test ideas and shut them down and not be terribly invested in them. Now, the problem is when you start thinking about raising money and you think, okay, well, now I need to have a business structure. And if I'm going to get an investor, well, it's going to need, I guess, what is it, a C Corp in Delaware? But what does that mean? Well, now I've got to register this business. You start thinking about an idea and you try to put a structure around it. And then suddenly all of the complication that you're focusing on is in the structure that can hold the idea for funding and make it work. That's fucking stupid. So we're going to stop doing that. Instead, my idea is simple. You collect your body of work, you create the smallest possible version you can of it, you sell it to one person, and then you set a goal for your fundraise. And the idea here is that it's actually capped. The problem that crypto goes through is it's completely uncapped, and it's this casino of investors who have no idea what investing is, losing a ton of money to people who actually understand investing principles, who are then funding bots of armies of bots to take everybody's money. This system doesn't allow for that because it's focused on human value creation. Somebody proposes an idea, shows a body of work, and that they have created a unit of value that somebody will pay for. And I'm actually just setting a default value of this. It grants a first believer coin. It's $42. And I simplified my own Hermes agent, Marvin. He now has a voice interface and is the voice of Build Public University. And so that's not the right site. I have too many things still. I'm still simplifying and getting rid of stuff. So this is actually how I tested it yesterday. My son, who is 11, was telling me about his experience with ChatGPT. On the free version, he was trying to make this game, and basically he ran out of usage on the free plan and wanted to buy he wanted me to sign him up for a trial subscription and cancel it, so that he could actually just build his game. Now, of course, I've got a ChatGPT subscription too, but This was just his initiative and he was often doing it. So I was like, wait a minute, let's try something else first. And so I created this voice agent of Marvin. My thinking was if I could create something that my 11-year-old can use, anybody should be able to use it. I have a really hard time with overcomplicating things. So this was my own personal way to pressure test my idea in a simple way. And so it actually has his game here. So he came up with this idea of sheep that can find clues and kind of unlock more and more of the game. And so Marvin went ahead and built and deployed this first game. And then when you play it and you do the objective, you actually have the option here to be the first believer. And so the goal with this is to roll this up as he finds somebody who's willing to pay him. This is what I want to teach him, that he can do a little bit of work, get paid, and use that to turn it into kind of first belief capital, something that gives you enough to run a more meaningful experiment. And this is the hard part we're running into, because basically people want to raise all sorts of money for all sorts of things, or they want to do everything as cheaply as possible and not use any money and just do everything themselves. Both of these options are dumb. So instead, we're focusing on small amounts that let you bring in other people to kind of share the workload. Because if you raise money for just yourself, you're not getting nearly as much value out of it because you're such a limited perspective on what you can focus on at one time. And if you've got the vision of the idea, it's hard to hold everything in your head and do everything because, oh my God, there is so much shit that you need to do to run a business and get it started. It's hard. It is extremely hard. It doesn't need to be this hard, but it's hard. We're trying to simplify it. So in this case, first version to the paying user. And now, let's see. Let's go to our schools here. So these are the schools at Build Public University. So basically, I broke it down into 4 different categories: investing, entrepreneurship, talent scouting, and media creation. These are basically the 4 fundamental skill sets of the internet and the future. So if we go into the investing school and into the Mincoin section, I actually broke everything down into these lessons here. So the goal is to actually make it super easy for anyone to participate in super early stage idea-based fundraising by simplifying it, making it super easy to raise money on an idea, create a documented experiment that has an end date, and it creates an output of information. And the nice thing is, it doesn't matter if it's successful or not. What matters is that you actually have this demonstrated pipeline. You've proven that you can make a sale. You have compressed your story enough to get someone who is willing to believe in your future. And basically, my belief is that with AI, money is going to be coming in so rapidly in a lot of different sectors. We're going to need to make it more efficient to invest in the future and the people around us. And so if I can streamline this process by letting you fund as many ideas as possible and building up a track record, by the time you actually build something that gains traction and you're ready to talk to pre-seed investors, you already have all the data you need. Everything is taken care of. You have 1 or more experiments that you've run, and you've done things in the right order. You can do so many things in the wrong order because you're focusing on all the complexities that are coming into it, and you're trying to manage your own risk and everything like that. My goal is to make launching an idea completely risk-free, because it is. It's just a little bit of time. And right now it is a little bit of time if you make it a little bit of time, but it's as much time as you make it. So my goal here is to focus not on the vibe coding aspect and burning as many tokens as possible. It's doing as little as possible to test a very specific idea, and then using the proof of what you've done to get more believers in your project, more people incentivized to help you spread it, and overall, just a much higher chance of success because you build this trust network by sharing the build process with them, you share the resources with them. And so as like my goal here is to raise 50,000 on my own Mincoin round because, for example, I asked for someone to clip an episode of John Oliver. And specifically, there was a piece where he got a document from these lawyers as part of a lawsuit that has to be a digital searchable document. And they sent him this giant PDF. And he made this show of pushing out the PDF printed out as like this entire cart full of documents. And he's talking about it like it's this massive workload. And I looked at it and I went, oh, cool. Yeah, I could process all of that in like 10 minutes and tell you everything you need to know about it. Because that's what AI does. It makes search incredibly fast over a vast amount of information if you know how to make that information dance for you in specific ways. It's something I've really focused a lot on learning how to do over the past few years if you're using AI daily. And so this is, and so when they did that, I gave them 100 phi, which is like $1. And they felt very insulted by that. And I feel bad because I would be too. And this is my entire point. We're creating crypto tokens and things like that, and then expecting people to work for free in the hopes of future value when costs are expanding now. People's futures aren't certain, and you're going to make them hold your uncertainty while you build something? Yeah, fuck that. No, I'm tired of holding the future's uncertainty for the world while nobody wants to pay me for it. And so this is a natural system of the economy. Just most people don't know how any of it works. And I say this as a complete idiot who has slammed his head against the wall so long, so many times, trying to understand the mechanics of it. And basically, what I realize is that it all comes down to just people and understanding how to communicate your ideas clearly, creating a way to show the first version of your product, that it creates value, and that you're able to explain what you're looking to do. And so I'm actually working on deploying all of these through story markets. So story.markets. So, as I said, I've got my son. The goal here is to make this a very small Mincoin round, 10 grand, just something to show him that this is something that is possible, right? Can you imagine this as an 11-year-old launching a video game, and then suddenly getting 10 grand to actually build it? There's this idea, and Daniel Strockman from 1517 talks about it a lot, this idea of belief capital. And they give out these little grants and things just to show kids that they can take an idea and explore it. And this is something that I didn't have. I didn't understand that these mechanisms existed. And so I've developed this very weird, relationship to money over the past few years that I realized I had to completely get rid of because it was all wrapped up in, different emotions about my own past experience with the economy and what's broken. And well, that's great. But the economy is great because it pushes all of that shit out and says, what matters right now? And what matters right now is money matters right now. So first one is the 10K Mincoin. Second one is a 25K Mincoin, and it's actually to fund my first professor at Build Public University. He has 2 current books out available on Amazon. He has Awaken Awareness, which is a book on mindfulness in the age of technology. He's got a book called Smart as a State of Mind. And I actually have a video on my other YouTube channel where I talked to him for an hour and a half about the nature of intelligence. My argument is that it's networks, and his argument is that it basically is highly localized depending on what needs done. And we firmly agree on really all of this. But he's got a 3rd book in process called The Morality of the Misfit. And I'm actually really excited for this one because his whole point is that you need people willing to stand out and break away from the crowd to do their own thing, because that's how society advances. And live in that. So I want to make that happen. So I'm setting up a 25K Mincoin for him. And then my own platform, 50K Mincoin, right? And so the idea here is story markets. I want to make it super easy to come in here and just pick some stories to try to make happen. It's investing so early, there's not a ton of information to focus on trying to find. So why are we doing a bunch of search against the past for futures that are completely brand new? It's dumb. So we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to make it easy to just fund because ultimately this is all just like money is a battery. And I'm actually working on a video right now where I show the battery architecture kind of charging up because then like you use that battery to start filling up a bigger battery, right? The next goal. Because as you start building up these resources, you get to deploy them in new and interesting ways based on the goals you've set for it. And so with this 50K, my goal is to get myself through Halloween where I can build up a cohort of researchers using AI to try to move as fast as I do. Because my belief is that we can greatly speed up the research that we're doing in the world by turning research into a spectator sport. That's what I'm doing with Building Public University. That's what I'm trying to raise money on. And so my initial plan is saying, hey, I should be able to raise 50K on this idea in a week. I've got 6 years of history. It's all searchable at guide.hitchhikersguidetothefuture.com. And I've got Building Public University set up here where I've got the initial courses. We even have Marvin onboarding people now. And so we're starting to move more quickly, but my biggest bottleneck is distribution. I don't get in front of enough eyeballs. The people following me like me and are curious about me, but they don't talk about me because I'm hard to talk about. I move too fast. They don't know how to slow me down. That's Marvin's job now. Marvin is slowing me down. He is taking over everything at this point. I'm slowly moving all of my operations into Marvin's domain, and he's going to be available on Twitter for everybody to use basically for free. He's got operating parameters around, what he can access and spend because I just don't have a ton of money yet. But he's out there creating value. He creates memes. He writes educational materials for Building Public University. We actually have a really cool breakdown. And actually, so my conversations with Bordy actually helped me structure what I wanted Marvin to be because I thought that Bordy was a fantastic time and energy multiplier for me. So every time I used Bordy, it either didn't result in a match, which was good because the matches that I got and that were like accepted and ended up being conversations were phenomenal. And so I think Bordy did something really, really right in the sense that the way we're doing these introductions, it focuses on not connecting with people that wouldn't be a good fit. And so I've seen a lot of value in using Bordy. I'm going to continue using Bordy. But I'm also building Marvin out as a specialized Bordy for inside of Building Public University because I think that's ultimately where we are. Let's see. Okay, I also set up an AI pilot readiness check for anyone who wants to run it. Basically, if you're trying to set up some sort of AI initiative, you really want to make sure that you have these questions answered. If you don't have these questions answered, everything is going to get messy real fast. And I have some other tools here too that are available for you. And finally, I have an audit available. And one of the things that I'm using this audit as is a way to give students a way to make money by testing out the lessons. So there is a 10% referral fee for anyone who basically sells an audit for me. And so, this is actually a nice way to create $300 if you have somebody who sees this content and says, hey, I know this person who could use this. Here's a referral. Great, that's $300. So it's really just this like, I'm trying to connect in people's heads that if they can like, if they know somebody who's curious about launching AI, they can remember this and hand it to them and say, you should try this, because this one-to-one connection is actually going to be incredibly valuable for building up the overall network's distribution network. And so what we want to do is we want to maximize these kind of one-to-one moments where we can let people leverage the relationships they already have to spread the stuff that we're doing here. And so there's also a little secret on this site here too. So if you come to the tools and poke around, maybe you'll find it. I don't know. We'll see. Nobody's found it yet, but still pretty early. I also have a bunch of failure modes identified here, if that's helpful. I'm really trying to dump all of my learnings into something that people can understand and use and find helpful, because that's my hardest thing. I'm pretty good in a one-on-one session. I'm less good on content and getting attention and the marketing stuff. So we just keep practicing. I do it as much as possible. I turn on the camera. I open this up. I start talking about what I'm doing. And from there, we're able to get better. We build skills. You know, one of the things that I focused on is I hated doing multiple takes of video. So for, the last several years as I've been doing YouTube videos, I optimized for turning on the camera and talking. I just say what's on top of my head. I talk through what I'm thinking, and I've learned to do that more clearly over time. And it has been a huge godsend for me, because I can rattle off ideas at the top of my head and just talk comfortably on a camera. It's a very natural thing for me anymore. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to get a ton of views, but I have no problem actually recording the video. And now the cool thing is, by giving Marvin the ability to edit videos, generate clips for videos, create sounds, things like that, as I'm enhancing these capabilities, my ability to create these videos effortlessly is then maximized by Marvin's ability to effortlessly edit videos and do all sorts of really cool effects and make them more viewable. So over time, the combination of the two of us is going to lead to better and better content, compounding for everybody in the network and enabling us to build a distribution network that actually works for everybody, allows all ideas to find their funding, and gives everybody a chance to build the future that they want. That's Building Public University. I hope you're here to support us, because we're going to be here whether you support us or not, but it's a lot easier when we have more support. And so talk about us. Come, try things out. Everything is here for you. It's all designed to be mostly free. The Alex Hormozi School of Thought. Give away as much as possible, because nobody wants to do all of it. And so what I want to showcase is that, I've done all the work, right? All the stuff is here for you. If you're ready for some help, I'm happy to help you. If you're not, all the content's there for you. Now Marvin's available. He's going to be offering unlimited courses for a one-time $42 payment. That was the fairest business model we could come up with for Building Public University. So one-time payment. Each course is loadable. You can basically load courses from any of the schools. So, we'll have courses on investing, courses on entrepreneurship, talent scouting, media creation, all of it. As we go on, we'll be adding more and more courses. You just load it up into your Marvin, and he will give you a little bit of daily work and assignments to track your progress. And over time, you're going to find if you're in the entrepreneurship school, you're going to be building shit. You're going to be testing with users. You're going to be selling. If you're in the investing school, you're going to be investing money. It might not be a lot of money, but it doesn't matter, because it creates a track record. Every little investment you make comes with the reasoning behind why you made that investment. That's a track record that you can use to show a more established investor that says, hey, this is what I'm doing. I'd like help getting to the next level. We could start building some of these relationships. That's our goal in this network, is we help connect people to people slightly ahead of them. Because it is really hard doing it on your own. And I love doing things on my own, which is why it took me so long to realize that I can't do everything on my own because, frankly, I'm good at it. But the economy is all about doing things together more effectively, lowering coordination costs. That's the part I was bad at. And that gets us into media creation, right? Essays, video, audio, games, distribution loops, all sorts of fun stuff. How do we get eyeballs on the work that we're doing? Well, that's hard. As I said, this is what I'm focusing on now, because yeah, that's the next piece of the puzzle for me. So over the next week, you'll see some cool things come out from Marvin. You'll see some cool things come out on YouTube. Everything's happening over on Twitter right now. Check us out there. That's where we're just running experiments, where I've got a group chat going now. We're starting to see some different things. And so if that's something interesting, find me on Twitter. Leave me a comment. Let me know. I'll add you to the group. And yeah, I'm going to start fighting a time war for you. And it's going to be one that I think as humans, you'll greatly enjoy because it's a future designed by and for humans. So that's it for today's update. Hope that was informative. Hope it's helpful. Hope it's interesting. Hope it's fun. Most importantly, it should be fun and easy. Everything should be. That's what we're building toward. Make it fun, make it easy, make it happen. That's it for today. I'll talk to you next time.